I was 19 years old when this happened. At that age, you don't really think much about danger. You think you're untouchable, that nothing truly bad can happen to you. That was the mindset I had when my friends and I decided to go camping in the national forest just outside our town. It wasn't a massive park like you'd see out west, but it was remote enough that you could go miles without seeing another soul. That was exactly what we wanted. Total isolation. We wanted a weekend away from the noise of the city, the constant glow of streetlights, and the endless scrolling on our phones. Just us, the woods, and a fire. There were 4 of us. Me, my best friend Josh, and 2 other guys from school, Chris and Aaron. We piled into Josh's old truck with tents, sleeping bags, food, and way too much beer. The drive took about an hour, but once we were inside the park, it felt like we'd crossed into another world. The deeper we went, the more the trees seemed to swallow us. We found a clearing not too far from a stream and set up camp. The first evening was perfect. The air was cool, but not cold. The fire was crackling, and the stars overhead looked like someone had spilled a box of diamonds across a black velvet sky. We roasted marshmallows, told stupid jokes, and made fun of each other until our voices were hoarse. By the time we finally decided to turn in, it was well past midnight. One by one, my friends crawled into their tents. The fire had burned low, just glowing embers giving off a faint warmth. I lay awake inside my tent, listening to the forest. There's a unique sound to the woods at night. It's not silence, far from it. There's always something happening. Crickets chirping, frogs croaking near water, the occasional rustle of leaves as some animal moves in the dark. Normally, it's oddly comforting, like the forest itself is alive and breathing around you. But that night, something changed. It started with footsteps, soft at first, like someone carefully placing their weight with each step. Crunch, pause, crunch, pause. I thought maybe Josh had gotten up to use the bathroom, but the sound didn't match the way he walked. These steps were slow, uneven, like whoever it was wasn't in any hurry. I held my breath, straining to hear. Then came something that made my skin crawl. A low, raspy humming. It wasn't a tune I recognized. It wasn't even really a song. Just this unsettling hum, up and down, off key, like a broken lullaby. My stomach turned, and a cold wave of fear washed over me. Trying to convince myself it was nothing, I slowly unzipped the corner of my tent, just enough to peek out. What I saw made my blood run cold. Across the fire pit, where only glowing embers remained, a man was sitting. Not one of my friends. He was hunched over on a log, shoulders narrow, head tilted slightly forward as he stared directly into the dying flames. His clothes were filthy. A torn plaid shirt, mud-stained jeans, boots so worn they looked like they were falling apart. His hair was greasy, tangled in knots, and his skin looked pale, almost gray in the firelight. And all the while, that humming came from him, that broken, uneven tune. I froze. I didn't breathe. My heart was hammering so hard inside my chest that I was sure it would give me away. Minutes stretched like hours. The man didn't move, didn't even shift his weight. He just sat there, staring into the embers, humming softly to himself. I wanted to wake up Josh, to scream, to run, but I couldn't. My body wouldn't let me. Some primal part of my brain told me that if I moved, if I made a sound, he would look up at me. And I couldn't let that happen. Finally, after what felt like forever, he stirred. Slowly, with stiff, jerking motions, he rose to his feet. He stood there for a moment, still facing the fire, still humming. Then, without ever looking toward my tent, he turned and walked into the trees. The sound of his humming faded with each step until the forest swallowed him completely. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there in the darkness, every muscle tense, eyes wide open, waiting for the sound of those dragging footsteps to return. But they never did. When the first light of dawn finally crept into the clearing, I practically fell out of my tent, shaking and exhausted. My friends woke up, groggy and confused, asking why I looked like I hadn't slept. I told them everything. The footsteps, the humming, the man by the fire. At first, they laughed, thinking I was trying to mess with them. But when they saw how serious I was, their smiles faded. Chris muttered something about meth heads in the woods. But even he didn't sound like he believed it. We didn't stick around. We didn't even cook breakfast. We just packed up as fast as we could and started the hike back to the truck. We stopped at the ranger station. The man behind the desk was older, with leathery skin from years of working outdoors. When I told him what I'd seen, his reaction wasn't what I expected. He didn't look surprised. He didn't laugh. He just stared at me for a long moment, then leaned back in his chair with a sigh. "You're not the first to see him out there," he said quietly. "Some folks say he's harmless. Others, well, others don't. But you're lucky he didn't talk to you." That was all he said. He didn't explain. He didn't answer our questions. Just went back to his paperwork, as if the conversation was over. We drove home in silence, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the truck. "You're lucky he didn't talk to you." That line has haunted me ever since, because sometimes, late at night, I wonder, what would he have said? And why did the ranger sound like he already knew the answer?